Hello, good morning everyone. Before we begin our remote learning session, we would like to call on DepEd Assistant Regional Director, Dr. Maria Ines Asuncion. Good morning, Dr. Maria Ines.
Hi, good morning. Dali ah. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Good
ma'am.
morning.
Hi, good morning. Um, shall we start? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. You can
Okay.
start na po for your opening remarks.
Okay. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. I hope that everyone is well. And I'm happy to see you all in this webinar, considering that we have a very dynamic and competent, yet so humble speaker who can relate the needs of the classroom teacher. To our dear teachers who are in this webinar right now, your work is so important in the society. You are the frontliners of education. Our future is in your hands. So teachers, the kind of people peopling our country in the near future lies in your hands. The future of our children in this very year is in you. You are writing the future of our children and the future of our country. Teachers, and all the participants of this remote learning system, with all humility, I humble down before you 2,130 teachers who are participating in this webinar to take as much principles and techniques in motivating our children and youths to learn more and more through the different modalities at their convenience so that learning must continue and that no child shall be left behind. My special thanks also to our speaker for today. We have Ferds Pacondo for his constant support and commitment. Rest assured that your efforts will never go in vain. Of course, to our regional director, to all the schools division officers team, the schools division superintendents, the assistant schools division superintendents, supervisors, school heads, and all the teams who are involved in this webinar. Please continue your passion and commitment. Thanks also to our regional ICTU for your hard work and for engaging the Microsoft team. May God bless the works of your hands. May I also request the quality assurance team from the region headed by Chief Atilio to start deploying the Kwatami online form so that we would be able to get feedback from this webinar. So I hope that you will spend the most of this webinar and learn much for our children, our future generation. Thank you everyone and mabuhay kayong lahat. Good morning.
Thank you, Dr. Maria Ines Asuncion, for that inspirational message. Hello, participants, and welcome to today's event, DepEd Region 11 Remote Learning Session. I am Rico, your moderator for today. Today's event is being recorded on behalf of Microsoft Philippines and Line Learning and Development Solutions. If you do not consent to be part of the recorded session, please disconnect your line at this time. We encourage everyone to participate via chat. You can do so by clicking on the message panel found at the right side of your screen. If you are using your mobile phone, please type in the message box found at the top right corner of your screen. This is a safe zone for all. You may ask questions, bring up concerns, or request for support at any time via the message panel. We will do our best to answer your questions during and at the end of the session. Your feedback is important. Please take a few minutes to complete the survey at the end of the session. We thank you in advance for your support. If you experience any technical difficulties, please refresh your browser by pressing Ctrl and F5 or the refresh button found at the top of your screen. If this does not resolve the issue, please send us a message and we will be happy to assist. Before we begin, I'd like to introduce our speaker. Our speaker for this session is Mr. Jefford Facundo. Ferds is a senior trainer at Line Learning and Development Solutions and at the same time an Office 365 and IT Systems Senior Administrator for Digital Operations of Goodyear Global Business Service. He is a certified Microsoft educator. He also worked as the EdTech lead for National University for 4 years. Without further ado, please welcome Mr. Jefford Facundo. Good morning, Ferds.
Good morning, Rico. Good morning, Dr. Asuncion and Sir Rick and all the people behind of this remote learning session for Region 11. And excuse me. Good morning po sa lahat ng ating mga guro at ating mga lahat ng mga nanonood sa atin ngayon. Good morning. And I know you have a lot of things to do for your personal things or personal schedule. I know it's supposedly a non-working holiday for us, but thank you and for gracing your time with us this morning. I hope from what we had learned or shared with you yesterday, we can continue learning again this morning. So roughly, let me share first my screen with you. Sorry. Okay. Alright, so kahapon po ipinakita po namin sa inyo kung ano po yung itsura ng Microsoft Teams, ano ang meron sa loob ng Office 365. So today naman ang pag-aaralan po natin is on how to manage your class basically when you're working with remote learning or distant learning kumbaga. How would you engage your students? How will you keep their attentions? How will you actually share your content? How you're going to do class management? So yesterday we've shared to you like how what kind of class format you're going to follow, whether will that be asynchronous or synchronous, will that be a blended learning, will that be self-paced learning for our students, or whatever you would use on how to work with Microsoft Teams. But this morning, we'll roughly work on keeping the engagements of your students. As I've mentioned yesterday, it's very important that you have to keep the attention of your students. You have to maintain that engagement because this is a complete different experience. There's a big difference when it comes to working in a face-to-face environment rather than working on an online environment, which is you're not typically managing your class because you cannot see them right in front of you compared to what you are doing inside a classroom. You're not actually able to see what they're doing behind the screen. If they are actually listening to you or are they watching you or whatever they are actually doing on their own personal space. So we'll also learn on how to record and edit lessons, how to play around with Microsoft Teams recording, how to play around with your Microsoft PowerPoint. We'll also include on how to properly share your contents using Microsoft Teams. And then we'll also try to work on how to create virtual office hours. Ito pong virtual office hours na tinatawag, ito po yung consultation hours, kumbaga sa isang face-to-face environment. I'm not sure although if DepEd would also be doing that. But of course, you can also do it even if virtually, if let's say, for example, you've been doing that in the past. We'll also touch base on the accessibility features for Office 365 and Windows 10. This is more on how to deal with special education. So I know for a fact that even if we are actually handling, let's say for example in a public school, uh, not in a special education settings, we have those kind of students that are actually having difficulties for learning. They have difficulties, let's say for example, they're visually impaired. Some are actually having a hard time with their hearing or mobility itself. So we'll also discuss those things later on and how you're going to promote fun into your classes. So let me focus on my slides now. So roughly would take about 45 minutes for the the whole discussion again, just like what we did yesterday, and then we'll have a 45-minute demonstrations again. So yesterday I have shared with you, and probably you have also um, took a screenshots of this screen yesterday. What is remote learning? So I'm sharing this again for those people who just joined us today. So when we say remote learning, this is typically occurs when the learner and instructors, or you as a teacher, or source of information are separated by time and distance, just like what we are actually having now. So most of you are seated comfortably on your couch, maybe on your chair. Baka yung ilan po nanonood pa ng nagkakape habang nanonood sa atin. Some of you might be having their breakfast while watching and listening to us. Some of you might actually be just sitting down in front of probably their patio or their balcony kung meron man, o kung nasaan man po kayong lugar sa Region 11. So again, thank you very much for your time. So when we say remote learning, this can be somehow cost efficient way to reach many people, not just students but anyone with corresponding to resources that would otherwise be unreachable sometimes. When with remote learning, this is a flexible, customizable, and accessible learning space. So I have also mentioned yesterday that it's very important for remote learning that when you're switching onto that, especially what we have on our situations right now, it's a drastic changes. We just jump into the remote learning method because that is our options for now, temporarily, while we're waiting for all of us to go back to our normal lives, which could take some times. It's still far from over. But hopefully somehow this step that your regional directors, your ICT coordinators, and everyone that actually help and come up with this program for your region would somehow help you as a teacher, as an educator, as like what Dr. Ines mentioned earlier. You're actually modeling or molding our future, which is our kids, our children. So these people are the creators of tomorrow. You're probably working with someone who'll become the next president, or probably you're working with someone who will be the next secretary of the Department of Education. Who knows? So these kids that we're working with, this would be our creators of tomorrow. So it's very important that we actually share to them the appropriate tools that they'll be using in the future. So why should we include Office 365 onto your classroom settings? Why should we use Microsoft Teams? So based on my own experience po, no, back in college, I never thought I would be actually dealing with teachers. I would be dealing with anyone who's into academe. I thought I would only be working for corporate office. Um, but then again, after graduation, NU took me in, and they actually gave me that opportunity to grow and learn from them as to how to handle actually the edtech perspective, as to how we're going to use technology as an IT graduate. How are we going to use technology into our classrooms? Um, I can remember completely the question of our CEO during that time for me was, how can we multiply good teachers? And I answered that I answered him that we need to provide them, we need to invest to them, trainings that they need, um, tools that they need that they can actually use, because these teachers already have the basic foundations, they have the expertise on how to handle their classes. When it comes to working with technology, some of them are prepared, some of them are not, some of them are hesitant, some of them are actually afraid of using technology. And I think it's the same situations that we are actually all facing. So when you probably heard Secretary Briones mention that education must continue, you probably had that kind of question. How can we do that when we have a very less or little kind of resources that we have in our country? But of course, it will not be easy. But if everyone would be helping, would somehow contribute, even in a very small manner, that those things can be achievable for us. So this is just one way for us to help you somehow. Now, we have also mentioned and discussed yesterday how is online delivery different than a face-to-face environment. So sabi ko nga po kapag kayo ay nasa loob ng inyong mga classroom, yung inyong mga estudyante nakaupuan, nakaharap sa inyo, nakikinig, nakatingin on how you are actually modeling, how you are actually lecturing them, how you're actually sharing the lessons itself. But if you're going to work with remote learning environment, that's a little different. Like you don't see them if they're seated properly. You don't actually tell them to keep quiet. You don't actually tell them to pay attention. Well, you can do so, but it will be a lot difficult because technically your students will say, "Hmm, I'm not sure you can say that to me because you're not typically seeing me. You don't even know what I'm doing behind on the other side of the screen." So I'm gonna just go ahead and attend to your class. I'll just go ahead and pretend I'm listening, and then I'm gonna go back to sleep. So these are the challenges that we have. So apart from the considerations that we have mentioned yesterday, like what kind of technology do they have at home, what internet do they have at home, and some of those personal emotions and needs that our students are facing, those kinds of things that we have actually studied and shared yesterday are just additional on top of how you're going to manage your students on the other side of the screen, because you as a teacher, that's number one of your job, is to manage the class apart from um, sharing the lessons, of course, and facilitating the education to these children that we have. All right. So I have yesterday shared with you like what kind of classes, what kind of teams rather that you have on Microsoft Teams. So let's remember that we do have four types of group or class. I'm sorry, a group in Microsoft Teams, and that's classes, PLC, staff, and others. So for class, you do have your, of course, teachers and students involvement, and then for PLC or the professional learning community, that can involve your principal, your subject coordinator, your ICT coordinator, and you as teachers. And then you also have your staff, which is dedicated for non-teaching personnels. And then you can also have your others, which could also be dedicated for your, let's say, school clubs, student organizations, things like that. Now, what are the classes or what kind of teams you're going to create inside Microsoft Teams? Ano ba yung grupo na pwede nyong gawin? So, you can create a team for grade levels. What do I mean by team for grade level? So say, for example, you are one of the teachers who is in charge for grade, let's say grade 4 students. So you can come up with a whole class for for all of these students. You put all of them into one group, and then you may probably add your principals right there, your ICT coordinator, or anyone that deals with administration, so that you can give proper channel to your students so they can, let's say, for example, post the questions, their inquiries, their any concerns that they may actually come up with, so that they would know where to post those, who to reach out, and who to ask for any concerns that they may actually facing when they're dealing with remote learning session. So instead of them posting their concerns on social medias, which, of course, it's not really appropriate for them to post those kinds of insights and feedbacks, anything that they experience. Well, it's their prerogative and it's their freedom to do that. But I don't think it's appropriate for us to see students ranting out on social media just because they actually feel a little, inconvenient when working with their online or remote learning classes. And then you may also, of course, I've also shared with you yesterday on how to create your class. So again, remember, I've actually, by the way, saw some questions yesterday on the questions on our Q&A panel, like how can we come up or how can we create our class? So later on, I will go back to that again on our demo part, just a brief part on how to start creating your classes. So again, it's important that you create classes for each of the sections you're handling with. So if you're a teacher who's handling just one section, pretty much for all the subject, then you can just come up with one. Of course, it's not really required for you to create one theme for each subject that you're teaching with them, but it depends on you, of course. So whatever you think is possible that would work perfectly fit for your students, then go ahead and do that. And then for our non-teaching personnel, for our DepEd administrators, you may actually come up with the staff team for each division in your school, probably, so that, for example, you would be able to task and delegate who the person that would deal with this one, and you can actually work together anytime and anywhere you're actually in, and you don't have to be physically available and present in one single room for just for you to organize and come up with a meeting. um, and I think this just would also work best for you if, let's say, for example, as a regional director or as a assistant regional director, to come up with another team and put in those different people in one team and share and collaborate real time on whatever task you would want to work onto your division or region. All right, so yesterday, I have also shared on how to post announcements, which we will also still somehow go into that later on briefly. So announcements are wonderful way to provide a visual reminder to your students about upcoming assignments or activities or anything that you would want them to be informed for, because the announcements features allows you to add colorful banner just like what you're seeing on your screen now, or an illustrations to your post. I'll show you that also later on how to work with that. And then you have the ability to color code your announcement. So say, for example, for grade school students, you can come up with an announcement to organize topics for the day. Let's say ikaw po yung student or teacher rather that's in charge for one whole section for all the subjects, then maybe you can use red for reading, blue for math, or the B illustration for science. So anything like that. So you can use the same banner for every time you have an announcement about that content area. Para pag nakita ng estudyante na ay it's sorry, it's reading for color red. So pag nakita na post nakalagay diyan it's red, it's colored in red, then okay, this announcement is all about reading. If I see, if I'm a student, if I saw a post, it's a blue design, so I know it's about math. So I don't have to like basically read the whole content just for me to know it's about math. So by just simply looking at it, it's about math. And then if I have questions, I'll go ahead and read anything that you've actually put on the details. So that's how you're going to use your announcement. And again, I'll go back to that later on how to create your announcement. And then for secondary students in asynchronous settings, so remember yesterday we've discussed what's the difference between synchronous and asynchronous. You can use announcement to post the week's task, for example. So in one announcement, teachers can communicate the expectations for the week and offer students some guidance on when they should complete the task, for example. And then students can then easily reference this one post throughout the week as they complete their various tasks that you give them for that particular lesson. Okay. And then how do you start a Teams call and have the students join, no? So yesterday na-mention ko rin po, na ituro ko rin, na ipakita natin kung paano gumawa ng paano mag-conduct ng klase gamit ang Microsoft Teams. I've also seen yesterday about a questions, sir, how do you share your screen and what tool did you use to share the screen and the slide that you're using now? So wala po tayong ibang ginamit kahapon except Microsoft Teams. So Teams lang po ang ginamit ko. Teams would allow you to share, let's say for example, just a particular tool that you want to share, or you would want to share the whole screen, the whole desktop screen. That's possible as well. So that's possible with Microsoft Teams. And I'll try to share you with that also later on once we jump into the demo part. We've also discussed yesterday how to schedule the meeting, also on how to create the online class rather real time. So by simply pressing or clicking on the Meet Now button, that's available on the chat panel on your Microsoft Teams. That is only available when you're the teacher on that particular class. So um, although of course you may decide that the majority of your remote learning will be conducted asynchronously, because this is, I think, most effective, because of the situations that we have here in our country, since we don't have a stable, and most of our students don't have access to the internet rather. So periodic calls with your students can benefit you and your students in many ways. So what do I mean periodic calls? Let's say for example, you give them the you tell them, okay class, uh tomorrow magkakaroon tayo ng live class, so I will be conducting the online class tomorrow. For those people who can join, perfect, I may actually give some additional points. For those who will just watch the recording, I would also give you additional points, um different points for you. And then for those people that don't have access to internet and probably have the chance to go to watch on those recordings, you can feel free to go back on and watch on the recording anytime that you would want to do. So those things I will be sharing with you later on. So of course, when you're doing the live calls, no, kapag when there is a school or temporary school closure, your students will miss you a lot, especially kung kayo po yung advisors nila. You know, I'm sure you'd have that kind of experience. You've also grown up with your students, with your advisory classes, that they would somehow treat you. Of course, technically, you're their second parent in the school, but somehow they've also grown up with you and fun with you, would somehow build that friendship relationship, no, as a second parent. So they need to see your face sometimes and hear your instructions and connect with you. So it's important that you also turn on your video from time to time. You have to make sure that you have a clear audio para naiintindihan po nila kayo. So kung medyo maingay po sa ating surroundings, that's fine. You can just explain to them that you don't have a convenient room for them to like listen to you and perfectly. um, just explain the situations to them para naiintindihan po nila kayo. And then you may also turn on the live subtitles on Microsoft Teams, which I will also share with you later on. And or if not, using PowerPoint. So there is a subtitle or live subtitles button for PowerPoint only if you're using the Office 365 version of PowerPoint. All right. So that's one way to work with asynchronous lessons, on how to ask them to join to your class. No? So asynchronous learning and synchronous calls can resemble a flip learning environment. I'm sure you've heard that already in the past, what's flip learning is all about. And which students, for flip learning, students can review content, watch videos, read materials before the class. So ganun po yun. And then in class, you and the students discuss the content, of course, practice what they have studied on their own, and ask for follow-up questions para mas clear and digested nila maayos yung lesson, whatever lesson that you actually shared with them. So let's talk about how to handle class management when working with remote learning. Okay. First is, after an initial meet and greet at the start of the call, just like what they were walking into your physical classroom, for example, ask your students to mute themselves and turn off their cameras. So it's important that you always ask your students to mute themselves if they are not actually sharing their thoughts, or if they're just listening to your class. It's because para hindi po distracting yung ating class, para hindi masyadong magulo, hindi maingay. Kasi if anyone will just be jumping in and talking in and butt in while you're discussing, wala po kayong matatapos. Masyadong madami yung ang tawag nito, restart and then begin uulit lang kayo ng uulit. So advise them to mute themselves and turn off their cameras para po hindi masyadong makain sa internet nila if they're on unlimited data allocation. Although Microsoft Teams naman po will not eat up a lot of videos, or I'm sorry, will not eat a lot of data allocations onto your mobile phones, provided that, of course, because si Microsoft Teams kasi, parang tinitimpla niya kung anong kind of internet you're actually on. If you're on a good internet connectivity, if you're on a stable one, it would give you, it would actually customize the connection as to what the best um, resolution that you can actually send out to, as well as with your audio. But if you're on a slow internet connectivity, that would also somehow pre-configured your camera itself para mas lessen yung resolution, and then that will not eat up a lot of data allocation onto your mobile data rather. And ask students to again mute themselves and as well as turn off the cameras. Well, as beneficial as it would be to see your students the entire call, you know, turning off the cameras for your students will lessen the bandwidth demands on the call. And if, however, you do not have a bandwidth issues, encourage students to keep their cameras on para nakikita nyo po sila kung anong ginagawa nila, if they're still attentive to you, how they actually look like, those kind of things. So when they're muted, if they have questions, by the way, pwede nyo rin pong i-mute yung inyong mga estudyante. So hindi nyo sila kailangan sabihan na paki-mute yung inyong mic because you can always mute all of them in one single button. So I'll share you that also later on. Paano nyo i-mute yung inyong mga estudyante kapag meron po kayong online class tapos masyado po silang maingay. Set your students to attendees so that they do not actually accidentally grab or intentionally mute you during the call. Kasi kapag nag-online class po kayo, let's say during sa Microsoft Teams using the Meet Now button, lahat ng papasok doon will have that presenter's access. So pwede po silang mag-present ng screen nila para in a sense that, let's say, there's a group presentations, you can ask them to discuss their slides. So, I would share you later on paano nyo sila i-demote as an attendee para wala po silang option to grab your screen and to mute you as a teacher. All right, so remember attention spans will be, shorter on a Teams calls. Just like what we have mentioned kahapon, i-consider po ninyo kung gaano na, ano yung edad ng inyong mga estudyante. If your students are roughly on, you're teaching with 8-year-old students and an average, so make sure that your recordings, your video, your discussion would be somehow 8 minutes or long or shorter. So, para po yung kanilang attention would actually be retained or keep with you. Kasi if you teach and discuss whole things, a lot of things, serious stuff, longer than 8 minutes rather, their attention will no longer be with you. Sometimes they would just keep on browsing stuff on their own since, tandaan po natin na pwede nilang i-minimize yung screen and they can actually browse anything while they're listening to you. So make sure na kapag 8 years old or younger, make sure it's also 8 minutes or lower. No. So hindi naman necessary that 8 minutes, but please do not and avoid always going longer than, let's say for example, 10 to 15 minutes discussion because you are discussing a lot of things seriously. So that would actually lose the engagement of your students. So make sure to cut your lessons into segments. So sabi ko nga, pwede nyo namang i-segment yung inyong klase. Kung sa tingin nyo, kailangan nyo mag-discuss ng isang buong oras, cut them into different segments. Let's say 15-15. So for 15 minutes. Now, in between of 15 minutes, digest the first 15 minutes, ask some insights, some feedback, some questions from your students, and it's required for you to ask them. Do not settle for, do you have questions, class? And if they do not respond, you say, okay, I would take that for a no questions. That's not going to work for remote learning. So iba po yun sa face-to-face environment. Lagi niyong tandaan, dapat laging merong respond ang ating students. If wala po silang respond, let's say no one would raise the hand, no one would actually ask a question, ask them to post the questions on the chat panel. Ask them to give their insight or thoughts. Ask them to create emojis, let's say thumbs up or thumbs down, just for you to keep their attentions with you. And then this is what I'm saying, na create checkpoints where you pause to gauge understanding. That's when you use the thumbs up or thumbs down emojis. And then when you pause to check for understanding, remind your students that they can unmute themselves to discuss or share their insights. So if, let's say for example, um, meron, kasi alam ko meron kayong mga estudyante na lagi nagtatanong sa taas ng kamay, "Ma'am, I have questions," because they're so attentively with you. They will also have that kind of situations when when you're using remote learning discussion. So they'll have that a lot of questions. Some have questions. I've read this on this particular book, and I thought this would be this and that. So you entertain those questions still, or might as well give them the channel. Okay, you post this. You post your insight or whatever you have read before. Post this on the chat panel para pwede pa rin po silang mabigyan nyo sila ng chance to still talk and discuss their things. And then, based on my own experience, no, kapag nasa classroom kami, I have less questions. But when I'm doing remote learning with Microsoft Teams, I get a lot of questions. Because these students, since hindi na po sila ninyo nakikita sa harapan ng klase, and they don't have that kind of embarrassment um, anxiety na baka pag nagtaas ako ng kamay and I ask questions, my classmates would laugh at me. So they no longer have that kind of things because they can now construct their questions appropriately because they can just simply type those questions on the chat panel. So like, you have to give yourself onto that because you would feel like bakit ang daming maraming tanong. Okay, if you would be only seeing our Q&A panel, like yesterday, we probably had around 1,000 questions that we have to respond. Well, most of them are actually the same. It's understandable because you're not all seeing all of your all. I mean, you're not hearing everyone else. You're not actually seeing everyone else's question. So that's gonna be the same scenario when you're dealing with your students through remote learning. So strongly encourage students to consider sitting at a table for your cause. Hindi naman po yun required, pero sabihan niyo yung estudyante niyo na para mas convenient, mas proper yung inyong um, discussion, para mas feel pa rin nila that they are actually attending classes. Ask them to sit down on a chair with a table, have their books beside with them or their notebook so they can still write down or jot down notes aside from the calls is recording. So para meron pa rin po silang same kind of experience even if you're dealing with them through remote learning lang. So be sure to take a few longer breaks when you encourage students to stand up, stretch, and move around a bit. So give them probably 5 minutes or 10 minutes break in between. Ask them to like get a glass of water, move around. So kahit po kayo sa ating mga guro, no, when you're seated down, kapag kayo, since a lot of you are working from home rather, iwasan niyo po yung like you've been sitting for like one whole straight hour. So every hour, make sure na pwede kayong maglagay ng reminders or maybe you can, kung meron po kayong smartwatch, mas better, no? Para nare-remind kayo to stand up every hour. So it's important po yun. Kahit po sa amin sa company namin, we were actually given that tool installed on our PC. And we are actually constantly reminded every hour when there is an activity on the computer. Let's say maraming clicks, I think it counts the click to make sure that there's an activity on the PC. So every hour nagpapapa po dun sa screen namin, okay, pause and stand and move around. So remind your students to also do the same thing, and also remind yourself to do the same thing, because it's not going to be healthy for you if you've been sitting down working on your computer for like 2 hours or longer or so. So make sure to every hour, dapat po meron tayong at least 1 minute na tumayo tayo para yung ating blood circulation will really be well. So I'm not a doctor, I'm not a health and or a medical expert, but I think that works for me as well. When over, kapag ang klase po ninyo ay tapos na, okay, kagaya rin po ng inyong classroom, kayo po dapat ang kahuli-hulihang ang mag-e-end ng call. So, what do we mean by that? When everyone leaves already, when everyone is hanging up on the call kasi tapos na yung klase, be sure na ikaw po ang last person to press that end call. So that you can still manage your class, how many people are staying and discussing behind, for example, if there are some students who would want to have a personal chat with you and ask questions regarding the lesson, you can entertain the questions. So katulad din po ng inyong the way you handle your class in a face-to-face environment. So you can somehow mimic that kind of experience with your students. So in this way, you would be able to control when the meeting ends, no? Para alam nyo kung kailan mag-stop ng recording. Also, by the way, when you're recording the calls, tell your students before you record the calls. Tell them that, okay, for the benefit of your classmates that are unable to join with us today, or for your own benefit para pwede nyong balikan yung ating klase, pwede nyong i-rewind kung meron kayong hindi naintindihan sa part ng discussion. I-record natin yung class. So, ask their consent. They don't have the choice either, but at least you ask permission. So, inform them that you're recording it for their own benefit naman. You're not recording it because you want to sell that to somewhere or post it somewhere else. But you're actually recording it para pwede nilang balik-balikan yung klase, and for the classmates that yun nga wala po silang internet at pwede ngayon at hindi sila nakaka-join sa class. So pwede nilang balikan yung recording. So you inform your students before you record your classes. Right. So let me jump on to the next slide. Okay, so one questions that we normally would be getting is, how can you assess your students this time since you're doing it online? I know you have different policies and guidelines when it comes to assessment. You have to come up with those things. That I think we will leave that on to the DepEd side. But if it's just about quiz or just assessing basically your students learning and gauging their understanding for the lessons, you can come up with these tools. So for formative assessment and summative assessment, I'm not going to explain that to you anymore. I'm sure you've all know that you're actually experts of those two. But these are some of the options that you can have when working with formative assessment. So they can actually have an entrance and exit tickets using forms, threaded discussion in the post tab of Teams. So how do we do that? What is entrance and exit tickets? Like they can just simply click on a single button on when you post on a poll, or let's say for example just to get the attendance. But like I've shared yesterday, if you just wanted to deal with attendance, you work with inside tabs on your Microsoft Teams. I'll show you that again later on. And then they can also come up with journal entries in OneNote or in Microsoft Word documenting learning and questions. No, so they can also have the forms, quick post and post, and then discussion questions during the Teams calls. You can also have the summative assessment format in place of, let's say, for example, you come up with a recording, or you can ask them to record themselves and then share or record their slides, for example, have them the audio and face recording as well. Para it's still a form of group reporting or individual reporting in a sense. You can also come up with responding to short answer questions, or a writing prompt in Microsoft Word document using assignment or OneNote or class notebook in Microsoft Teams. Also somehow with journaling or documenting their daily work, for example, or their note taking. So sabi ko nga pwede sila mag-notes pa din, and then ask them to take a picture of their notes and send it on Teams using assignment or class notebook, or responding to Flipgrid prompts. So I'll share you this time ano ba yung mga tools na pwede nyong gamitin to engage your students. So let me share you my screen. I mean, my another screen rather. Mhm. Diba? Gusto niyo yung sinesearch ko yung Philippine Independence Day. Wala akong makitang hugot line for our Independence Day. I know it's June 12, so you'd see a lot of memes again on social media. A lot of fun things about our history again. But it's a fun way of remembering our history. But of course, we should limit ourselves on things that we do on social media. Anyway, so going back here, so punta po tayo sa menti.com for those who are watching with us right now. Pwede nyo pong i-minimize yung ating mga screen for our video para pwede lang kayo manood muna for na or makinig muna. So punta po tayo sa menti.com. That's menti.com. So meron pong ganito yung screen na makikita ninyo. Manghihingi po yan ng code. Sa code po, ilalagay po natin is 251633. Again po, so paste ko po dito. Punta po tayo sa menti.com at ilagay po yung code na 251633. So I will present my screen. So meron po dyan a question that you might actually have with remote learning readiness. How ready are you to do and teach in remote learning? So right now meron po tayong isang respondents which is have scored 5. So in real time makikita nyo po yung inyong students that they are actually joining. So let's probably wait for a few minutes for other people to join. Again, para po makasali kayo dito sa poll na to is you go to menti.com and put in the code that I've mentioned earlier. So right now we have 4 respondents. So real time nyo po makikita yung inyong mga estudyante na sumasagot. They're giving their insights. So this is just one way to engage your students. So to call their attentions. So real time din nila yung makikita. Real time mo din makikita yung sagot nila. So even if you're not actually asking your students like one by one or each and every one of them, like ano yung ganito, give your insight about this. So you can actually engage them using this. So right now we have 75 people who have responded, and we have 10 people who have responded, 12 rather, who said, I'm not ready yet. We have 2 people who have somehow, and then 23 who has responded 3, and 37, 45 have said, I am ready to teach in remote learning. So, as beautiful as this one, pwede nyo po itong gamitin, no? So, libre lang naman po yan. So, para po sa teacher, ang pupuntahan nyo po ay mentimeter.com kung magdi-design po kayo ng inyong engagement board just like what you're seeing on the screen now. So that's mentimeter.com. You can use your Office 365 or any email to sign up. Wala naman po yan ang bayad. And then po, menti.com kapag sa estudyante. Para doon nila, so ibibigay mo lang yung code para maka-join sila sa board na isi-share mo. And then your students will be able to respond. So as right now, so people are still jumping in. So we got roughly 340, or sorry, 400 number of participants who have shared. So average, we have a 3.4 score. So I think this is a good score so far. You know, we are on day 2, and I know you have a lot of trainings already when it comes to remote learning readiness and things like that. Somehow we have a good score. We got a 3.3 average here. Although we have still a lot of people who have answered, we got 92 people who have said, I am not ready to teach in remote learning yet. So that's understandable. I mean, it's completely fine. If you're not ready, then you're not ready. But of course, we have to find a way to bridge this gap. We have to find a way on how to teach ourselves, on how we can learn in working with remote learning. So this is just one way. Again, this is mentimeter.com for the teacher. For the students or the participants, you ask them to go to menti.com and you put whatever code that will be generated by you. So how do you actually design this? Um, let's skip that little part. So, pupunta lang po kayo sa mentimeter.com tapos meron po doong way to create your slides. Pwede rin po kayo mag-import kung meron na po kayong ginawa sa PowerPoint ninyo. And you can choose from this kind of questions. So, meron po tayong multiple choice. We have a word cloud. We have open-ended questions. You have your scales, just like what we have now. And then you have your ranking. You have your image choice. You have your also your Q&A. So, you can ask your students to post their questions. And then for quiz competition, let's say kung meron kayong mga group activity, pwede po kayo select what's the correct answer, mga ganitong questions. So this is one way for you to engage your student, no, with dealing with remote learning. So that's one way. You also have your peer deck. So just go to peerdeck.com. You can use your DepEd email address to sign up, and you get a free 90-day trial period on that. That's 3 months, for you to get all of the features, the pro features. But if you want to stick on the free version, okay lang naman po yun. It doesn't matter. Ang advantage lang naman when it comes to pro is you can have unlimited slides. Of course, you can actually have a different pro design and templates available. But Pear Deck is just like this one. So balik lang po ako dun sa pinaka homepage niya, no? How are you going to jump into this? So this is the homepage of Pear Deck. And then pupunta lang kayo dito sa choose a prompt. You can also create your presentation, your engage dynamic presentations for PowerPoint. You can create in here. And then you just go to, you can also go to remote learning sessions for some of the samples. And then you click on choose a prompt. Ano ba 'tong choose a prompt? So when you prompt, it can be sa umpisa ng inyong klase. Pwede rin po yan sa gitna during the class or end of the class. So say for example, you ask draw or type 2 things you learn about the discussion, for example. So pwede nyo pong gawin yun. So meron po tayong write everything you remember from the homework, or what do you wonder about today's topic. So that's one way just para lang ma-engage yung estudyante, no? Yung klase, no? So this is Pear Deck. That's one way for you to use. Again, so we do have now two options. We have the mentimeter.com. We have the peardeck.com. So this is all web browsers, no? So meron po tayong pwede niyong gamitin since nagtuturo naman kayo gamit ang inyong computer, and always naman po yan may internet, so you can use that. And then another one tool that you can also use is yung tinatawag nating Flipgrid. So the Flipgrid is like, for those people who have actually heard about Flipgrid, much better, then you can also use that as well. For those people who haven't heard, Flipgrid this is more of like, I could compare this to TikTok in an educational manner. So, diba, I'm sure a lot of people are hooked onto TikTok videos because it's fun and it's relatable. It's short and concise, so they can always relate and go back to the video. So, share ko lang yung isa kong klase na ginawa po, no, or hinawakan last year. Let me share you their output. So what I normally do in a class is I give them the platform to somehow debate among themselves, share their thoughts and feedbacks or insight about a particular topic, but they have to record themselves. So here, example po, so nung nagkaroon po tayo ng fourth Sonya of our president, I asked them, di ba normally hinihingan niyo po sila ng reaction paper or anything essay about the what they can say about the SONA itself, what are the things needs to be in there and what are the things that are not supposed to be in there on their own opinion. So I asked them, instead of them writing that on a paper, I asked them to like watch the video and then post their own videos here. So as you see here, I have like 43 responses. I have 40 class letters. So some of them actually have created more than one response. So what it does is here, so ginawan ko po sila ng, of course, the minimum reaction length is 1 minute. and 30 seconds. Pwede nyo po yung gawin 1 minute lang or 2 minutes lang or let's say 30 seconds lang. So pwede nyo po yung gawin. So para mawala lang yung kanilang mga anxiety about facing a camera. Kasi sasabihin nila, Ma'am, I'm a camera. I'm shy. I'm shy to say anything in front of camera. But kapag na-experience po nila yan nila once, twice, they'd be expert when working with their cameras already. So this is one way for you to have your little engagement and also some sort of assessment to your students. So I won't be playing their videos, of course, because I did not ask permission from them. I only asked permission from them that I would be sharing their class output, but not the video itself. So that's one way. So again, for teachers, you just go to admin.flipgrid.com or just simply go to flipgrid.com and sign in or sign up using your Office 365 account as well. For Flipgrid, using your Office 365 account or your DepEd email address, libre lang naman po yan. Wala po yung bayad. Okay, so let's go back to our slides. Share ko lang po no yung paano mag-conduct ng klase na this time before we jump into the accessibility features of Office 365 and Windows 10. All right, so let's go back here. So say for example, magko-conduct po ako ng klase ngayon sa aking Humes 1901. So say for example, no. So here po, sabi ko nga po, ito yung pinipindot natin for conducting your classes. So you click that. Ayan. So say for example, if you want to turn on your video, that's fine. That's fine as well. You may turn that off for the meantime. That's okay. And then you can put here, let's say whatever lesson you you would be dealing with your students for that day. Let's say this is about photosynthesis. Ayan. So click on Meet now. So ganito po ang itsura niyan kapag kayo ay nagko-conduct ng klase. So your students who are online will be here. Pero makikita niyo po dito yung currently in this meeting, meaning to say yan yung mga estudyante na mga umattend na naka-online. So kung wala naman po, let's say you just wanted to pre-record yourselves and post the recordings afterwards, you can do so by clicking on this more options here. So i-zoom out ko lang konti para mas malaki. So ito yung mga buttons na makikita ng ating estudyante, no. So kapag naka-set po sila as presenters, just like what I'm having now, meron po silang share button here. But if you set them as an organizer, this is going to be grayed out. They can raise their hand virtually. So pwede nilang pindutin 'yan. Tapos you'll be notified here just like what you're seeing on the screen. So merong nakalagay diyan na ganyan. So ibig sabihin nagtaas ng kamay yung estudyante na 'yon. So pwede mo siyang i-recognize, tapos pwede mo yang ibaba yung kamay nila. Now, if they have a questions, they can post the question using the chat panel. So ganyan. So let's say for example, they can type whatever questions. Yan. And then for you to see also the participants, you click this. Ito, yung show participants na yan. Tapos makikita mo, ito po yan. Now, ito po yung sinasabi kong message manage permission. Sino yung pwede mag-bypass sa klase? Pwede po yan dyan. And somehow, if your classes is already up here, meron po ditong attendance link na lalabas. And then you can add people also here. You can copy the link and share the link to your students who would wanna join that are not part of the class, let's say. Again, all of this will be shown up here for that participants. Now, kung gusto niyo po mag-record ng klase, you have to press this more actions, ito, and then you click on start recording. When you click on start recording, you'd see this recorded button here. and you will see this banner right here that says, be sure to let everyone know that they are being recorded. So that's one way of doing that. And if you want to share, so sabi kahapon may nagtanong paano po mag-share ng screen, no? So yan yung nilagay. So you press this one here. So you click on share. Tapos po lalabas po yan dito. Alin ang gusto mong i-share? You would wanna share the whole desktop window or kung meron kang PowerPoint lang na gustong i-share. So kapag PowerPoint po ang pinindot nyo dyan, hindi po yung file ang sinishare po. No? What it will be shared is the slide itself, just like what you were seeing earlier on my slides. Now, kapag gamit niyo po yung desktop version, meron pong option dito para i-share mo mismo yung audio din. Para kung meron kang video na gusto mong i-play or sound that you would wanna play to your students, maririnig nila mismo yung sound. So dito po yung lalabas sa taas nito at this part for you to share the audio. I cannot do it right now kasi I'm using the desktop version on my screen and I am sharing you my screen. So if I unclick that, you won't be seeing my screen anyway. So kapag nag-share po kayo ng screen, dito po yung lalabas. Now, pwede rin po kayong gumamit ng whiteboard. So let's say gusto nyo lang mag-share ng whiteboard kasi you would wanna write something on it, or you just wanted to ask your students to like give their thoughts and collaborate on one single topic. So let's say for example, I would wanna open the whiteboard. Ito po yung whiteboard natin. Meron po tayong whiteboard for Microsoft Teams and also for Windows 10. So ito po yung sinulat ko kahapon. Pwede po kayo dyan maglagay ng ruler. Pwede mong ikut-ikutin. Let's say if you're dealing with math and you would wanna write down something, pen, like that. So ayan po. This is the whiteboard. And again, pwede po kayo dyan magsulat. Let's say 2x plus, let's say 24y squared equals to 56. Let's just say, for example, ito yung ginagraph natin. So pwede po kayo dyan magsulat ng kung ano man ang gusto nyong isulat using your mouse, or kung meron po kayong pen, if your computer is a touch enabled device, much better. Pero pwede po kayo dyan magsulat gamit yung inyong mouse. Okay. So this is whiteboard. Let's dismiss on that part. All right, so let's move on to, let me stop this now. So paano mag-stop ng recording? So before nyo po itigil yung recording, hindi po yun mag-stop ng recording by not pressing the stop recording. So you have to stop the recording from here. Now, yung sinasabi kong kanina na mute your participants, dito po yung lalabas kung meron po kayo ditong attendees or meron na po kayong estudyante na umattend ng meeting. Meron po ditong mute button na nakalagay, mute all. So that's one button na pipindutin nyo. Kung nakita nyo po yung aking cursor, it's right next to right opposite to the term that says currently in this meeting. And then the number of people, you'd see here it says a button that says mute all. So that's the button you press and the students will be muted. Okay, so those are some of the buttons that you will see when you're dealing with online class rather on Microsoft Teams. So I would stop the recording. The recording will be posted on the group channel or on the general channel, I mean, on the conversation on whatever class you have conducted the online meeting or the class itself. So I'll go ahead and hang up now. So again, pag maggagawa po kayo ng klase, ito lang po yung pinipindot natin, join or create a team. So pag pinindot niyo po yan, you click on create a team. This is what you will see. And ito po yung pinipindot for your classes. So PLC for teachers lang, supposedly. And then for the staff, of course, for school admin and development or the non-teaching personnel. And then other for the class clubs or study groups or whatever you actually have in there. So, maintain nyo lang po yung school activities, no? So kung meron po kayong flag ceremony during Mondays, then you do the same thing. You know, every Monday you play Lupang Hinirang before you start the class. If you pray before starting the class, you still do the praying. If you pray before the end of the class, then you do the pray. If you do sing in the middle of the class, then you also ask your students to sing along with you. So the same way you do it on the same experience. So ang kinukuha po natin is the experience itself. It's not the method, but the experience. Para po yung feeling ng estudyante natin is they're still attending the classes with you inside the classroom. So even if they are seated comfortably sa bahay nila, sa kanilang kung saan man sila, they would still have that same kind of experience. Right. So that's one way of conducting and creating your class. And then how do you create the virtual class again, or the virtual office hours? You go to your calendar inside Microsoft Teams. Tapos dito sa taas, pipindutin po natin yung new meeting. So kung gusto niyo mag-conduct ng live class naman, pang maramihan, live event, dito po yon. Or kung schedule meeting, ayan. So same lang po yan dito sa new meeting. So let's click on the new meeting. You put whatever meeting title, let's say for example, virtual office hours for lesson 1 about photosynthesis, for example, no? And then you don't need to put technically the attendance here, because anyone can just basically jump in onto that meeting. So ilagay mo kung kailan, let's say this will be on Monday from this period, and then lalagay ko siya saan ba. So say for example, let's say I'm gonna go this on, where's 1901 there. Ayan. So I put the agenda, whatever meeting agenda or whatever discussions that you would want to inform your students about, and then you just simply click on send. That will be added in here, but you're gonna see that also on your class posted right here. Ganito po siya. So si estudyante, pipindutin lang po niya yan para maka-join ng meeting. You don't have to share to them. You don't have to give them the link kapag nandoon po sila sa loob ng inyong klase. So the recording na sinasabi ko kanina, ito po yan. So at this time, hindi pa siya available kasi it's still saving the recording. So once the recording is done, it will be clickable here for the students. So ganyan po maggawa ng virtual class, ganyan din po mag-handle ng recording, and also how you actually share your students. So kanina yung sinasabi kong attendance, ito po yung insights. Just like what we have discussed roughly yesterday, you'll see the overview of the performance of the class itself as a whole, the performance of your students, their digital activity, they're being on time on submitting their homework, their sit works, or whatever that you're actually asking them to submit. You're gonna see it here, as well as the attendance of the live class that you have actually mentioned or that you have handled during remote learning session. It will also be shown to you here. So it normally takes longer than usual when you're using the browser version, but if you're using the desktop version, that gives you instantly this kind of screen. So makita nyo po dyan sa screen kung ilang percent yung digital activity na this time. This class is very inactive already kasi last year ko pa po ito klase. So pwede nyo tingnan lahat ng estudyante or mamili lang kayo kung sinong gusto nyo tingnan. Their average grade, their on-time assignments, their communication activity with you. It will also be shown in here. And then kung anong time sila mostly active during the day, it will be shown in here as well. And then your attendance in class meetings or the live calls will be shown up in here. Few hours up to 1 day after the meetings end. So hindi po real time yung makikita yung attendance, but it will be shown in here to you in a detailed manner. So naka-data din po yan para mas maganda yung tingnan, mas maganda mo makikita. But if you want to export that, you can always export the results para mayroon makita mo kung nagstay ba sila the entire day or the entire meeting or the entire call, umalis ba sila from this time or bumalik ba sila after what time. So makikita nyo po yun in detail. So that's with Microsoft Teams. Let's jump into, let me share you another screen. So ito po yung sinasabi ko kanina that when I click on stop sharing here, so hindi nyo na makita yung share, kaya hindi nyo makita yung audio here. But you can share your audio of your device when you're using the desktop version. So let me stop the sharing. Let me go back to my other slides. My other screen, I mean. All right. So let me jump in onto our last part of the discussion before we jump to the Q&A. So the second question that you might probably be experiencing is, how am I going to meet the needs of my SPED students? Like for those who are having their learning, like for some students that are having dyslexia, dysgraphia, or dyscalculia, um, for those who have low vision, for those who are somehow blind or color blind, for those who are deaf, hard of hearing, for those who are experiencing cerebral palsy, muscle dystrophy or amputation, or for those who have autism and seizure, or for just people that are having mental health issues like anxiety, depression, and OCD, are going to deal with them. Because it's challenging for us to deal with them, of course, in person. It's also challenging to deal with them, especially when they're dealing with devices, because especially for our students that are visually impaired, or for those who have low vision, like technically you appreciate the color of your screen for normal normal vision, but for some students who are having hard time seeing the colors, that's why you have to be mindful what kind of colors and colors that you're using, and text that you're using, background that you're using when you're designing your slides. So we will jump into them, each one of those. Where would you actually get these features when you're using your Office 365 or your PowerPoint, or let's say, for example, um, your Microsoft Teams itself, or the Windows itself. So for our learning um, issues with our SPED students that are experiencing dyslexia, dysgraphia, and dyscalculia, you can use the immersive reader and learning tools on your Office 365 apps. I'll show you that also later on. Students can listen to text being read aloud as the words are highlighted. I'll show you how it's being done. It can also be translated into over 60 languages, just like our live subtitles on PowerPoint. I will also show you that later on. And you have the built-in dictionary for real-time vocabulary support, as well as yung tinatawag po nating picture dictionary. I'll show you all of that features later on. And then you also have the math assistant on using your OneNote. And then for our writing efficiency, for let's say with our students that are experiencing dysgraphia, they have hard or difficulty in writing specifically. So they can use the dictation, word prediction, for example, and enable students to use dictation technology without the frightening burden of typing things perfectly. Because these are some of the these are some of the experience. I know a lot of you are expert on this part. I'm not actually expert because I haven't deal with students with special needs yet. I have tried before back when I was an intern at Microsoft. I had a chance to deal um with students that are actually deaf and mute, and also for some of the students that are actually visually impaired. So we played with them. We actually teach them how to play Minecraft, how to code using Minecraft, even if they're actually having those kind of experiences. So a student with a sudden switch to remote learning rather is going to be challenging for all students, and much more for our students who actually needs special, or for those students rather that are actually having special needs. So um, we also have the learning tools and ease of access center. I'll show you all of these features. For those who are actually using the iPhones, meron po tayong tinatawag na Seeing AI. So I tried downloading it yesterday. Seeing AI is an app for the blind and for those who are actually visually impaired students, or persons, I mean. What it does is it basically translate whatever the camera can see into an audio. So say for example, I wish you can hear my phone. Let me try. Um, so I'm gonna try to take a pic. Next slide. Say OM. End slide show the visual M10 AM. Alt next slide. Allow to text on your PCSC 10 AM. Microsoft. So next slide. What it does is actually I just press on that app. It opens the camera. I wish I could share you that today, but I don't have a way to share you the screen of my laptop. Let me try sharing the screen of my phone using Microsoft Teams. Let me just try that a little bit. Let me try. Oh, I couldn't actually. I couldn't join the meetings on Microsoft Teams if it's a live event. So I would be joined as a presenter. So I can't share you my screen directly. But what it does is it opens the camera, it shows you and describe to you what you can definitely see as a normal vision and it translate into audio so that naririnig mo siya ano yung meron sa harapan mo, anong object ang meron ka or anong text ang meron sa na supposedly you can read. So those are some of the app that you can use. That's Seeing AI. And then you can also use your Office Lens. So Office Lens is another Microsoft app that you can use for, let's say, for example, you would want to use or ask them to like take a picture of their notes. Okay? Kasi kapag nagpipicture po tayo normally using camera, we still have to like crop them and things like that para lang ma-share. But when you're using your Office Lens, it's flatten whatever image you're trying to take a picture and convert that into a flat 2D image para mas clear and you don't have to like crop images that are not supposed to be part of whatever you have take a picture with. So that's Office Lens. Narrator, I'll also show you that later on using Windows 10. And then for the ease of access, this is also part of Windows 10. The presentation translator, I'll show you that using PowerPoint in a bit. The Microsoft Translator, it's also an app downloadable both for Android and for iPhones. And also adding captions for videos. This is powered by PowerPoint as well. I will show you that later on. For Microsoft Teams, ito po yun, automatically transcribe niya po yung recording. For as long as po that you use English for that particular discussion. I haven't tried speaking in Filipino yet and then have it transcribed into directly by Microsoft Stream. So Microsoft Stream, ito yung nag-hold ng ating recording for our Teams classes. And then for our students that are experiencing difficulty for mobility, East Alva Access Center also on Windows 10 will have that, the dictation part, the keyboard only. This is interacting with your computer only using the keyboard and the keyboard shortcuts for our students using Windows 10. The on-screen keyboard, I'll show you also that later on. So that they can type using the mouse, so they don't have to physically type anything using their hands. They can just simply click on the screen using the mouse, of course, or a joystick. The eye control, the eye tracker, this one needs, I cannot demo this to you because this one needs a third party hardware that you have to install on your PC para natatrack nung camera yung eye ng estudyante or kung sino man ang gumagamit for focus, to help them to focus. So it allows you to use an eye tracker to control your computer. So what it does, it basically gives you what you're supposed to be seeing because it tracks the movement of your eye. And then for our neurodiversity as well, we have the focus assist on whichever that you would want to use, let's say Microsoft Edge, para ma-avoid yung distraction, no? So you also have that on to your OneNote, Microsoft Word, or whatever you're using for Office 365, as well as for Microsoft Teams. I'll show you that later on in a bit. And and then for the reading view, this can be available on Microsoft Teams, Microsoft Edge, I mean. which apparently I don't have now because I am using the new version of Microsoft Edge. They haven't put that feature yet back on the new Microsoft Edge. They have it onto the old version of Microsoft Edge. And then the word prediction, of course, it offers word suggestions for words as they actually type. And then you also have the to-do planner para lang merong focus yung ating mga estudyante para they have to follow a certain things, which one to follow next, which one to go to the next thing, para lang for those people that are actually um, having a hard time with when it comes to focusing. And then how do we also consider students that are having mental health issues? So focus assist would also help them, the OneNote and Outlook for tasks, and how they can basically organize the things. And then you also have the mindful night for Minecraft. This is a Minecraft world focusing on mindfulness and being present. So this is on Minecraft, available as well. So let's go to demoing where the accessibility features are that I was talking about. Let me unshare that screen and let me focus on the main screen. All right, so let's go back. Let's go to your Windows 10 PC first. So para po makita nyo yung ease of access, you go to your Windows Start key, you go to your settings, okay? And then you go to ease of access. So kung napapansin nyo po yung aking cursor, nakalagay po is it's a bit bigger and it's colored in blue. So where did I actually did that? I went to mouse pointer and you can modify this as to what kind of mouse you would want to use. Let's say this one is a little bit bigger. For those students that are actually visually impaired, so let's say nagtuturo ka, you can use that. Or you can actually ask them to also do the same thing. So you can modify it back here. And then you can change the color, just like whatever color you would want to pick. And then if you're using a touch enabled device, let's say for example, so kung makikita nyo po yung aking screen, as I actually touch on my screen, there are the touch points are actually darker in color. So they would see whichever part they're actually touching. Or if kung kayo ang nagtuturo, if you're touching the device itself, pwede nyong gawin yan para alam ng estudyante saan yung pinipindot mong part. So for the text cursor naman, you can use this color para merong pong color coding saan part ka nagta-type. No? So let's say for example, I would pick the purple one, let's say, and I'm gonna go to, let's say, the Microsoft Word. So as you can see on your Microsoft Word, on the cursor part, there is a color shaded part on the cursor para alam din ni estudyante, masusundan ka niya saan ka ba nagsusulat. Right, so that's the text cursor indicator. And then you also have your magnifier. The magnifier is for you to zoom out and zoom in, whatever you're trying to share. So it's a technique also when you're sharing your, or when you're doing a demo to anything, to your discussion, to your students, use the magnifier. So the shortcut for that is this one. So Windows plus the plus symbol on your keyboard. To zoom out, you can use the Windows and then the minus symbol. So apart from turning this on manually here, you can use it Windows plus, and then the this would turn on immediately, and then also the magnifier would be available right here, as you can see on the screen. So I don't want to do that. And then you also have your color filter. So what this color filter does is, let's say I would want to turn this on. So as you can see, it turned out into grayscale or grayscale inverted. So lahat ng ginagawa mo dyan are actually going to be shown on a different color. But this color is much appreciated by our students that are visually impaired or they have low vision. So that's with changing that into grayscale. You can also put that into grayscale para lahat lang black and white. Or you could also put that into red, green, weak. This is for deuteranopia. We also have the red, green lang, and then we also have the blue, yellow. So as you can see here, there's a bit difference when you're using those kind of scales or colors inversion, which is for for our color filter. So you can just simply turn that back on when you switch this, when you toggle this off. So you can also help your students doing that on their computers para hindi po sila nahihirapan. And then you have your high contrast, of course. So let me try turning that on. So our screen would somehow change into that. So as you can see here, we have a little different when it comes to doing it. So when I was back in as an intern at Microsoft, ito yung ginamit namin for our students who are actually visually impaired. So they use the high contrast feature of Windows 10 just for them to be able to see clearly whatever is written on the screen. So kung tayo po as a normal vision, no, so mga taong may normal vision, we would see this colors or this text appropriately. For some of our students or people that are low vision or they're actually visually impaired, they'd have a difficulty understanding and seeing whatever is written on the screen. And I'm sure you all know that is a fact. So let me turn this off back. And our screen will somehow calibrate that back into the same color. Okay. And then another is the narrator. So what the narrator does is it shares you. Let let So let me share the audio para maririnig niyo po yung sinasabi ng aking screen. So let me reshare my screen with audio. So all right, so let me turn on the narrator.
Starting narrator dialog. OK. Button. Alt plus O. Heads up. Narrator keyboard changes. We've updated the narrator keyboard layout so it more
So if I
closely
hit
matches
OK,
settings window. Narrator heading level 1. Welcome to narrator. Exiting narrator.
so what it does is it translates or it actually narrates whatever you're actually seeing on the screen typically, and whatever you click on the screen using the narrator. So I could turn this off. So the shortcut key for that is Windows plus Control plus Enter if you don't want to go to this one here. So that's narrator. And then for the hearing naman, meron po tayo dito for the audio. So of course, you can actually come up with the settings here. It's more on just actually how the volume up is and the volume level. And then you have the closed captions here. So I'll show you now how to like turn on the live subtitles on PowerPoint. Let's go on the slides. So I'll go on to the slideshow. Kapag po ang gamit po ninyo ay bagong Microsoft PowerPoint, no? So you'll have this here, and then may makikita po kayong subtitle settings. So what spoken language is still limited. So we have here, of course, this particular language right here. So wala pa po tayong Filipino dyan. So we need a lot of people who would want to develop onto that language para naiintindihan yung language natin by the computer. So of course, if I would be speaking in English, I would want to, let's say, for example, translate this into Filipino. Let's just say, okay, so let's say, for example, with that. So if I go ahead and share the slide, so you're still seeing my main screen, I'm sure of that. But this is supposedly what's going to be seen. Now, on your presenter's view, pipindutin nyo po ito. This is for your to toggle on your live subtitles. You switch that on. And then, of course, you have to make sure that you have a working microphone on your computer. So as what you can see on the screen, it does translate whatever I'm actually speaking into whatever language that I would want to have it translated into. So say, for example, I would read aloud, remote learning and change can be a stressful time for all students, especially those who are struggling already. Here are some tools to help students create structure and simplicity in order to reduce stress in an already stressful time. Right. So if I would want to turn that off, I just simply click on this one. So hindi nyo po yun ita-type manually. You just have to basically speak and make sure that your computer will be able to hear you. And then that would automatically translate into whatever language. So let's say, for example, I would want to change the the language. Let's say I would be teaching English and I would want to translate that. I have, let's say, for example, a foreigner students who's let's say speaking in Korean, or I'm teaching English, or I'm teaching Korean language, for example. So let me show this again, and then let me toggle this on. So same thing, what it does, it would translate into whatever language. So at this time, it's translating it directly and automatically into Korean. No. So let's say I would want to read the same thing, remote learning, and change can be a stressful time for all students, especially those who are struggling already. So here are some tools to help students create structure and simplicity in order to reduce stress in an already stressful time. I know you are actually excited a lot about this feature. So again, this feature is only available if and only if you're using PowerPoint powered by Office 365. So if you have your Office 365 um, issued by DepEd, you can go ahead and download and install the PowerPoint or your Office 365 apps on your PC. All right. Let's deal with how you're going to basically record your slides, no, yung PowerPoint ninyo. So let me end the slides again. So let's say, for example, ito yung aking PowerPoint that I would wanna actually record. So ito yung i-record ko, tapos ipopost ko lang sa Microsoft Teams para pwedeng panoorin ng estudyante. Or let's say I would wanna segment this lesson. So say, for example, I go to this, you'd see here the recording tab. Kung wala po kayong nakikitang recording tab sa inyong PowerPoint, you simply right-click anywhere. Mag-right-click lang po kayo dito kahit saan. No? Right-click po kayo dyan. Tapos, click nyo po yung Customize the Ribbon. Tapos, meron pong pop-up window. Ito po yan. Tapos, i-check nyo lang po yung recording. Ayan. So, I'm sure this one is available on PowerPoint 2016 and above. For the 2013, I think that you probably heard about Office Mix before. So wala na po tayong add-in na ganun. So they actually put that feature embedded already on PowerPoint. So you just have to simply turn this on kung hindi po yan kung wala po kayo nakikitang recording tab on your screen. And then you go to recording part here, which is your record slide, and then you click on to record. Let's say, for example, I would want to begin from this slide. So I click on record from current slide. All right. So as you can see here on my screen, so I have the video right here for me. If I would want to turn on my video, let's say, for example, I would want to greet my students. Hey, good morning, everyone. Here, if you put a notes here, let's try to put on the slides that has notes. It would appear here. Yes, okay, right here. So as you can see, there's notes right here. So if meron po kayong notes sa PowerPoint ninyo, para hindi nyo kailangan balik-balikan yon or makikita yon, you can read it here. So kung meron, wag nyo naman basahin lang yung slide. So make sure that it's still dynamic when you're reading your notes. So that's right here. This is where you record it. This is where you manage your device. So I'm using the Jabra headset, the one I'm using right here, as well as the microphone. Here for your microphone, if you want to turn this off, for muting and unmuting. So that's the button I'm using for manipulating the the microphone. I can turn off the video from here if I don't want to have my video on. And I could put that on. And then I also have some pen highlighters here. So if I want to use a pen and I want to write something, I could use this pen right here. Sorry. Ito po yung pen. So let's say I would want to write something. Ayan. That's what. And that if you want to record your video, your screen, ito po yung pinipindot. So that would, you would press this, start recording. So as you normally speaks and recording, as you see on the screen, meron pong nakalagay na recording in progress. And then let's say I would want to highlight this and write something in here. That's also going to be recorded automatically by PowerPoint. So let's say I would want to pick a different color. I would pick blue. And if I change on to the next screen, that's also going to be the same thing. So let's say I want to use the highlighter and I want to use the yellow. So I would want to use the unreachable, customizable, and accessible things right there on the highlight. And that's going to also be recorded. So if I want to pause or stop the recording, I press on the stop. So if you see the replay button, meaning to say naka-record na po yan. So let's go to the slide. So as you can see, ito na po yung video ko. So pwede nyo po yan liitan, pwede nyo po yan lakihan, and pwede nyo po yan ilipat-lipat kung saan nyo man gustong ilagay. Now, how are you going to share your slides now to your content? So you here on the recording, meron po kayong options to publish it onto Microsoft Stream and add nyo po siya as a tab onto your Teams, or export it as a video, or save it as a PowerPoint show. So let's say if you want to export this as a video, meron po tayong option for like if you want to have it in 4K or full HD. So para medyo maliit lang po yung file size niya, punta lang po kayo sa standard. And then you click on create a video. And that would automatically be saved onto your PC. Tapos pwede nyo po yang i-upload sa inyong klase. So you go to your Teams. Tapos you go here. And then you can create the announcement. Diba? Remember, you click this little click here, itong rich text format. Tapos here sa new conversation, kung gusto niyo po yung gawing announcement, you click on the drop down arrow, then you click on announcement. Tapos ito yung mga kulay na sinasabi ko kanina. Pwede niyo po yan palit-palitan. Let's say I would want to use the red here for this particular announcement. Let's say, please see the, lesson 01, for example, about whatever topic you would want to put in here. And then you have your discussion. Please see the recordings below for our lesson. And then i-attach mo lang po yung file na kung saan mo man sinave yung recording na yun. So since hindi ko po click yung create a video, wala po ako may upload na video. But pag click po yung upload yan, mag-upload po yon. And also, yung video hindi po kailangan i-download ng estudyante. So the video will play automatically doon mismo sa loob ni Microsoft Teams. Okay po? Let me try to remember what things I have actually mentioned earlier na dapat kailangan kong i-share. I think that's much about it. Let me try to remember. Ano bang kulang natin? Oh, okay. So yung kanina na-mention ko po about the immersive reader na tinatawag. So let's go to our OneNote here. Hindi lang po yan available kay OneNote. Meron din po yan kay Microsoft Teams. So kung makikita po natin, let me try to discard this. So ito yung recording na ginawa natin kanina. So kung makikita po natin, so kunyari ito po yung pinost ninyong materials, no? So if gamit natin ay Microsoft Teams, click lang po yung more options here when you hover the mouse. Tapos meron po tayong options for immersive reader. So this immersive reader would be the same as just like what I'm going to show you right now. So I'm going to go to view and I click on immersive reader. Ayan. So ito po yung sinasabi ko kanina na for our visually impaired students, for our students that are having a hard time, usually yung mga dyslexia na nahihirapan sa reading, or for our students that are having difficulty when it comes to reading comprehension, this would actually help them. So what it does is it actually gives you this in a syllabicate format. So nakalagay po dyan kung ilang syllables siya, how the pronunciation should be, what kind of part of speech that is. So it's actually giving you this one. So how do you set this up? So first you go to this little reading preferences here. So you turn on the picture dictionary. And then you go here for the grammar. So pwede nyo palitan kung anong kulay gusto nyo ilagay for nouns. Lagay ng label for what's for adjective, what's for adverb and for verb, and then for the syllabication, which is for this one. How big the text would be, what color should be the background is. So let's say there are some students who are having difficulty in reading in pure white background. Then you can turn that on into black. And then let's try about how it's actually going to be, what's how this would help your students with their reading comprehension. So for example, when I click on old, so meron pong picture dictionary na lalabas. What does old mean? So it shows you, okay, ganun pa yung old. Although not all the words will be given, so meron mga words na tinatawag nating neutral. Let's say for example, when you know about the word God. So pag pinindot po nila yung God, wala po dong lalabas because you cannot really dictate people how does God look like for them. So those are neutral word na tinatawag. So let's say feed would also click them, and if they click on this listen,
feed,
it gives them the pronunciation of the word. Let's say let's go on little.
little,
And you can also play this aloud. So let's try to play this.
little pigs, and not enough food.
Let's start from once.
Once upon a time there was an old mother pig who had 3 little pigs, and not enough food to feed them. So when
If you wanted to somehow modify how fast the reading is, you can like click on this little audio settings here or the voice settings. Then you modify how fast that would be, whether it's a male or female. So let's try again.
Once upon a time there was an old mother pig who had 3 little pigs, and not enough food to feed them. So when they were old enough, she sent them out into the world to seek their fortunes. The first little pig was
This is the immersive reader, and also let's say go to reading preferences. So if there are students that are having difficulties when it comes to focusing, so I would put that back into white. Let's say for example, so meron po tayong option for them to like typically focus on whatever they would want to read. So parang ganito po ang itsura niya. So if you click on
Once
play,
upon a time there was an old mother pig who had 3 little pigs, and not enough food to feed them. So when they were old enough, she sent them out into the world to seek their fortunes. The first little pig was very lazy. He didn't want to work at all, and he built his house out of straw. The second little pig worked a little.
right, so this is immersive reader. So this is not just available on OneNote, it's available on Microsoft Teams. So let me show you this feature on using Microsoft Teams. Let's try to click on immersive reader. So exactly the same thing what you've seen earlier. Ayan. So it's the same lang po siya kanina. This is also available on Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, but I'm not sure how are you gonna use that for Excel, but yeah, it's available anyway. So you go to Microsoft Word, and let's say I'd go click here, some sample document, and Immersive Reader is always gonna be on the View tab.
Hello, Ferds. I think you are on mute.
May nag-mute sa akin. Okay. Okay na, Rico?
Yes, we can hear you
Okay,
now, Ferds.
perfect. Great. So again, for the immersive reader po, it's always available on the view tab. So it's right here, and then you have your immersive reader under view tab. So it's the same way on your desktop version, pero po yung ating nasa desktop version under view and then immersive reader, offline version pa lamang po ang availability nito. So meron lang po tayo, so when you click on immersive reader, ito pa lang po ang options niya. So it's more onto the syllabication and then the text spacing and then also the line focus. Wala pa po siya nung mga part of speech. So the part of speech is only available so far on to the online version because of hindi pa po na-integrate fully kasi malaki po yan, especially the picture dictionary. So when you click on the immersive reader, on Microsoft Word, that will be the same thing, the same user interface, and the same kind of buttons you'd see it. We have the line focus, you have the picture dictionary. So this feature, yung picture dictionary and the part of speech, is only available so far on the online version of Office 365. So it's not yet available, but it's progressing because back in 2018, the the immersive reader here for Microsoft Word will only give you option to read it aloud. No. So that's with accessibility feature. Now, whenever you're designing your PowerPoint, it's always suggested that you always check your accessibility feature. Ano ba tong accessibility feature? It would give you suggestions na, okay, if you're teaching SPED students, no, you put some alternative text or alt text na tinatawag. So what are those things? So you go on to review. You have here your check accessibility. You also have that here on to review of Microsoft Word. It's the same thing. Um, and you also have that onto the online tools. Let's say you go on to Microsoft Word and review. You also have your check accessibility features here. So let's try to check onto this PowerPoint, this slide. So what is accessibility? So when I click this, so it gives you here some of the things that you should put onto your slides. So it says here, missing alternative text on groups on slide 1, slide things that you should put. Ano ba yung alt text na tinatawag? So for example, this picture, I would want to highlight I would want to make sure that my students would understand what this picture is all about. So I'd right click and I'd click on edit alt text. I would briefly describe what the picture is all about. So the picture is a boy handling a torch with a star right there. Or you can also ask Microsoft Word, PowerPoint to generate it for you. So I click on generate a description for me. It will give you this one. So it's a close-up logo. Now, kung hindi naman siya dapat i-describe po, you just simply click on mark this as a decorative. So kung design lang po siya sa PowerPoint. Ferds?
Hello, Ferds. I think you are on mute again.
My God. Bakit siya nagmamute mag-isa?
There you go.
Right. So, I think you have to ulit. So, narinig niyo ba yung part where I have to right-click this and put the alt text or not?
No.
Okay.
Kindly repeat it.
All right. So let me repeat that. So, ano ba tong alt text? It's basically just a description as to um, ano yung description basically ng picture na nilalagay mo doon sa PowerPoint para if you would put that onto a read aloud or for example a narrator, mababasa mismo yun ng computer what kind of picture does it what kind of picture is all about. So if you're going to right click on this and click on edit alt text. So pwede mong lagyan ng description here what this picture is all about. So how would you describe this object and its context to someone who is blind? That's always going to be the question. You put it in here, or you can simply ask your PowerPoint to generate it for you. So at this time, this is a close-up logo. So, or kung design lang naman yan and you don't want it to be described to anyone, you just simply have to put this as mark this as decorative. So when the narrator reads this, this would be somehow just described as a decoration or pictures which is actually described on the screen. So let's try this one here. Let me alt text, edit it, and let's try to it doesn't have option for me to describe that or generate the text for me. Let's say, let me try this. Okay, there. So as you see, it's a close-up of a computer, but somehow it's not really very near us to what this is all about. So you can add some additional descriptions onto that part. So I think on this part, we could entertain questions. That would be the last part of my discussion for this morning.
Okay, sure, Ferds. We have collated some questions from our box. So let me just check on those questions.
Mhm. You're doing that. Let me go get my charger because I think my computer is hungry already.
Okay, so we have one question. So how is it different from Google Classroom? So
How
what's
it's
the
different from
difference?
Google. I could not really describe how this Google Classroom looks like since I never tried it. Um, but I think what's difference about is the major difference. What most people told me is that there's no um, well, of course, you can still share your contents directly onto your your, let's say your PowerPoint, your slides. I don't think there's much difference, because I cannot really tell exactly because, like I said, I never tried using Google Classroom. I've tried seeing it before, but I think it's plain for me because see Google Classroom, it's more of like an LMS lang. Like you post the questions, you ask the assignments, things like that. But for teams it's a combination of everything, like you can have the calls right there directly, you can have the quiz right there, you have the assignment just like a usual LMS is, and there's always like this feature, so meron tayong calls recording. So I never had a chance onto seeing what are the new features onto your Google Classroom, so I can't answer that directly. um for some people probably who had experienced Google Classroom, maybe you try to wanna see what's on Teams and explain it. I mean to explore what's the difference between the two. But as for my own experience, I can't because, like I said, I never tried Google Classroom.
Okay, thank you, Ferds. For the next question, this is quite an interesting one because of the pandemic, we are transitioning to remote learning. We
Mhm.
have questions that may I ask if it's applicable for lower grade 1, 2, and 3? And a follow-up question as well that how about the lower grade learners po? They don't know how to manipulate po. And even if they will be guided by the parents mismo, paano kung yung parents yung hindi marunong?
I wish I could, explain this to you, but if I would be asked, in my own opinion, yes, we would always need the help of the guardian. So if you're going to ask me, will this be applicable for the grade school, it's always going to be a yes. But how are you going to like use the tool as to how you're going to reach out to those students? Of course, they don't know how to work with Microsoft Teams. That's a given fact. So I think we always have to also give an option on how to we can actually share this tool to maybe the guardians itself in a simple way, because at the other side of the students, they don't really have a complications when it comes to working with Microsoft Teams, because all they need to do is click on attend a class, listen to you, watch you, and upload their own output, as simple as those things. So if we can also come up with maybe one of the side of the dep ed to, let's say for example, how would that be look like on the side of the guardian, how the guardian will work on that, I think that's going to be helpful. But as far as if you're going to ask, will this be helpful for our kids, let's say kinder or prep or grade 1 or grade 2 who don't even know how to work with smartphone, I don't think we have a best answer to that. So we would always need the help of our guardians for them to be guided properly. But as they go along every day with the tools, of course, these kids are actually born with technology. So I'm sure pretty much enough they will be able to adjust with that.
Okay, so we have another one. May I ask if this remote learning can be used even if the place is not covered with any internet connection?
Um, Microsoft Teams is an internet-based system, no? So if there's no internet, I don't think it's gonna work. Simple as that. Office 365 can be installed to the computer. Let's say the Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and all those things. But for Microsoft Teams, it will always based on internet. So it can work in a small internet connectivity, but for a no internet connections, it's not going to work. I think we've answered that also yesterday. Mayroon nagtanong na how can we help as a Microsoft? How can we help those remote areas? We can help, of course, in training the people, but as to the infrastructure itself, I don't think we're the best people to answer that. It will always be on the side of our government.
Government. Okay. Yeah, I completely agree on that, Ferds. So we have another question. Is group work, discussion, and presentation possible in Microsoft Team? How are they going to group themselves?
Okay. So kahapon po na-share ko po sa inyo paano po gumawa ng group no sa ating estudyante. So number one, the first option po is we create the group chat onto your students. Let's say for example, I'm gonna go back in here. I create a group chat here. So when I click on the new chat, pwede po ako maglagay ng estudyante. Let's say for example, I'm gonna add Dariel. I'll add Miguel. Let's say for example. So let's say for example, another add students of, let's say, sample lang tayo. All right. So example, these are the students that I would want to ask them for a group chat or group work. So I would put them in a group chat. I would actually call them using this video call here, and they can share kung sino man po yung in charge na mag-share ng slides or ng group presentation. It's the same thing. So you have your slides, then they can manipulate it as if they are presenting it using your computer, in a projector, I mean. And then you have your audio, so you can hear them talking still, or they can turn on their cameras if you want them to like basically discuss things with camera on. That's number one. Second is when you're into your teams, onto your classes. Let's say this is my class right here. I could put them into different channel. Let's say I would create a channel right here. So gawa po ako ng channel. Oops. So I'd click add channel. Let's say this is group 1. Or naglalag po yung aking screen. So let's say here, and then I'd make this as private para kung sino lang yung pwede kong ilagay dyan. So I'd click on next. And then I would have the same features as this. So I put here, for example, kung sino man ang estudyante kong ilalagay dyan for that particular group. And then I have the Meet Now button here as well, which is for them to be given that option to share and discuss whatever group activity you would want to ask them to do. Other
Okay.
question?
We have another question from Susan Consolacion. Sir, how can we be sure that our assessments through online learning modality are authentic?
What do you mean authentic po? Like, I think he's just referring to the answers of the students.
Yeah, most probably.
Because that's what we always hear and ask or receive as a question. Okay, so like
Yes.
I always tell our attendees now when we're training, when it comes to authenticity of our students or their responses, since that The only way for us to know it's authentic is through the username and timestamp. So whenever you export their results, there's always name and email address that they actually use. So if they give it to someone else and they ask someone to answer it for them, there's no way we can know it's authentic. Like Microsoft Teams would not recognize their faces. Hey, it's not you. It's a different person. It's different username. So I should not let you. I should mark your answer as not authentic. There's no. I think there's no tool available yet to do that when we're dealing with online. So I think here we have to really be creative and in designing your exam, like how it's going to be in a form of authenticity. Like I said, I've mentioned about the um one way is Flipgrid, of course. Microsoft Forms, you can limit us to, for example, sa Forms pwede pong lagyan ng sabay-sabay sila mag-exam in let's say 30 minutes or 45 minutes. Who would be able to like answer a question, let's say 20 questions item of math, and then finish it in 1 minute, and then I'm gonna go to my classmate and answer his or her own exam as well on his behalf. So those kind of restrictions are some of the options that you can do. So you restrict your time. The time would be your best friend for now. But when it comes to making it, make sure that it's authentic na sila lang talaga yung sumagot noon, I don't think we have the way to do that. And please also do not always judge your students that they will cheat, because if you will always think of that, our students have always have a lot of ways para madaya yung exam nila. But if you always give them the benefit of the doubt na, and you trust themselves, and at the same time you somehow you tweak your exam in a sense that you would feel like sila mismo talaga yung sumagot nun, and it's personalized examination for them, then that's going to be authentic. But if it's just a generic exam like what you're doing in a typical classroom, ito po yung sinasabi namin, that you cannot copy whatever you're doing in your classroom and do that in an online environment, because that's not gonna work. Kasi yun lagi ang iisipin natin, paano yung authenticity ng exam? Paano ko ma-make sure na hindi sila nag-Google? Paano ko ma-make sure na hindi sila nandaya? So, how will you make sure that it's not found on search engine, Google or Bing or Yahoo or whatever search engine they're using, just for them to find the answer? It's up to you on how you design the exam. So kung your answers, your questions are also found on Google, the answer's gonna be found on Google. But if your answer is authentic, I mean, if your questions are also authentic in a way that you make sure it's personalized for them, then it's gonna be personalized and authentic answers. I think that's one way for you to work on that.
Okay, thank you for that. First, we have another question. How can remote learning be effective to teaching learning process if our learners are very hyperactive ones?
Ano po? Hyper?
Hyperactive ones. So, mga little kids or
Mm. Okay. So I think this is somewhat also related to
related to.
our, yeah, kanina yung mga grade school. Kasi sabi ko nga kahapon, kasi may nagtanong po kahapon na paano po ba namin gagamitin yung Teams kapag kinder yung aming estudyante. Like I said, you cannot force your student, a grade school student, grade 1 or grade 3 na sobrang hyperactive na tumatakbo paikot-ikot, to stay in one seat and just focus on your screen. You cannot really tell them without your physical presence and availability on that. So that's why we would always need the help of the guardian on this part. It's going to be a two-way factor. So you sharing the content and the lecture, and then the guardian as the supervisor this time, or supervising their kids, make sure that they're actually homeschooled and they're actually listening attentively on your part. So it's going to be in the case we have to ask the help of our parents and guardian on this part.
Agree. Um, for this next question, we receive a lot of questions like this. So, is it necessary that the students must have Office 365 installed in their computer or laptop for us to conduct classes using MS Teams?
Okay. Hindi po nila kailangan mag-install ng mga tools na yon. Sabi ko nga po si Microsoft Teams, no? Bakit ba yan ang ating screen? So si Microsoft Teams, all these tools, Office 365 applications, your Word, your PowerPoint, your Excel, your those three main tools that most of the students will be using are embedded inside Microsoft Teams. So hindi po nila kailangan typically mag-install. But if they needed to work on a full functionality of, let's say for example, creating a PowerPoint presentation, it needs an advanced feature, then they need to do so. But if you're just going to conduct classes using Microsoft Teams, they just need a simple browser. They just need a simple Microsoft Teams installed if they wanted to like full functionality on their devices. But all they need basically is just Microsoft Teams and their account to log in. Now, I understand that our students don't have their Office 365 account yet. For as long as po na meron po silang Microsoft account, so pwede niyo po silang pag-sign up to Microsoft and add them to your class as a student.
Okay. First, just a follow-up question on that. May nagtanong din kasi, are all the applications that you've discussed earlier are free?
Opo, lahat po ng diniscuss po natin, Mentimeter is free. These are all third party. So Flipgrid is actually free. All you need is your Office 365 account to access to them. For this too, you will need a valid email address. Any email address would do. But for you to get the pro features, yung mga advanced features niya, which I don't think you need them also in your classes. So free version would also suffice with that. So hindi niyo po kailangan magbayad for this tool just for them to work for your students. So earlier, meron po tayong 1,203 people who answered and we have a 3.2 average on this activity earlier. So lahat po yan libre. Hindi nyo po kailangan magbayad for anything of the tools we have mentioned.
Okay. Another question first. This is related to presenting. In presenting, can we present PowerPoint with audio?
Yes po. Like I said po kanina dito sa ating Teams, no? Okay. So pag nag-share po kayo dito, hindi ko kasi siya mapipindot kasi pag in-stop ko to, hindi nyo makikita yung desktop screen ko. But anyway, when you click on sharing here, meron pong option ditong lalabas. So let's try the browser para lang makita nyo. Pero sa browser po kasi walang option to share your audio. So kung meron kang video na ipi-play sa PowerPoint or may sound sa PowerPoint, hindi po siya tutunog. So what you can do, let's say for example, I'm gonna go with this class. And then when you attended the class or when you click on that Meet Now button here and you conduct the class online, let's click on Meet Now. And diba, picturean po. And so you click on this share button here, itong share na to, same po yan sa desktop. Now, lalabas lamang po ito, yung audio here, meron po nakalagay dito na share your audio kapag desktop screen po yung gamit natin. I mean, not the desktop screen, but the desktop app of Microsoft Teams. Ito po yun. So kapag gamit po natin to, meron po ditong option to share the audio. Make sure na it's checked. Naka-check po yun. So kapag naka-check yun, so lahat po ng sound dito sa computer niyo mismo ay maririnig po ng inyong mga participants. So kung meron po kayong video, meron po kayong audio na kailangan iparinig sa estudyante, maririnig po nila yon kasi naka-share yung audio ng inyong desktop. So hindi niyo po kailangan maglagay ng speaker tapos itutok yung microphone doon. So it's not gonna be that way. Just like when you have attended earlier, kanina po nung hindi pa po tayo nag-uumpisa, di ba meron po kayong sound na naririnig. So ganun po yon. It's powered by Microsoft Teams as well. Hindi po yun merong speaker na pinapatunog tapos nilalagay yung microphone. Hindi po siya ganun. So we play the music via Spotify and then the sound that you can hear when you were pretty much listening to your device would also be the same experience that your students will be hearing.
Okay, so first, this is our last question. So for
Sure.
our participants, apologies if we will not be able to answer all of your questions because of time constraints. We will just try to answer it through our chat box or answer it privately. So we have one question from a teacher specializing in cookery and bread pastry production. So she just wanted to ask whether there's a specific features in Microsoft Teams that she can use in her remote class since our lessons are more on actual demonstrations.
Okay. So, ito po yung karamihan na, I mean, one of the considerations that we've actually mentioned yesterday. So for any practical lesson, let's say PE, art, or let's say music, or let's say, for example, in your case, it's cooking or baking. I think the only tool that you can rely on is the camera feature of the Teams itself. But as to what kind of tools you're thinking, like how we're going to share and make sure that natama yung timpla ng bread, I think we don't have the tool of that to work on. So it's purely just the audio and video features of your Microsoft Teams that would help you make sure na tama yung ingredients that your students are putting in and the processes that they're actually working. So maybe what you can do is that you can ask them to like record themselves in a vlog manner, and then upload that onto Microsoft Teams and give them the grades. Like probably you can have them a documentation also, like what they put in there, how does it taste like, and then you can ask somebody, or you can ask them to record also, ask someone to like taste the food they've actually baked, and then have them grade as well. So that's one way. But as a tool itself inside Microsoft Teams, we don't have the way on that one. Yeah, hopefully we will have one soon, but I think that's going to be a little difficult to work on that, because again, the only way for you to work on is by simply seeing itself. So the audio and the video camera would help you on that, on this one.
Okay, so thank you first for sharing your knowledge about Microsoft Teams and also about how to conduct lessons in a remote learning environment. So we would like to call on Mr. Rick Ginto, Regional IT Office, DepEd Region 11, to give a message to our participants. Sir Rick?
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Good morning po mga aming mga guro ng Region 11. Maraming salamat po sa inyong pagdalo dito po sa ginawang training sa atin ng ating kaibigang taga Microsoft. Lubos po kaming nagpapasalamat sa Microsoft Philippines sa ginawa nilang pagsasanay sa atin, lalong-lalo na sa aming mga kaguruan dito sa aming region. Ito pong pagsasanay na ito ay kauna-unahang pangyayari kasi po ito ay nakasandal sa ating programang Brigada Eskwela. At ito pong pagsasanay nito ay napakahalaga dahil sa paghahanda po ng ating region sa blended remote learning as educational delivery models. At ito po ay mga inisyatibo ng Opisina ng Information Communication Technology Unit na pinamamahalaan po ng inyong lingkod sa suporta po ng ating direktor na si Dr. Evelyn Petalbero, si Assistant Regional Director Maria Ines Asuncion, at lahat po ng mga hepe ng ating mga sangay ng ating reyon. Ito po ay pasimula po lamang ng mga pagsasanay ng mga ganitong mga pamamaraan o methodology para po sa ating paghahanda sa ating pagsisimula ng klase na accordingly ang petsa ng ating opening is in August 24. Kaya po ang aking opisina, ang ICTU, ay talaga pong nangangalap o naghahanap po ng mga suporta kagaya po ng ginawa nito ng Microsoft. Kaya lubos-lubos po ang aking pasasalamat sa Microsoft. Bigyan po natin sila ng masigabong palakpakan. Maraming salamat po. At pinangungunahan po yan nila Ma'am Clarice, ni Ma'am Grace, sila dyan, sila Sir Yuper, si Sir Yuper Passion, si Sir John Erwin Magno, at yung mga trainer natin ngayon. Maraming pong salamat. Ito po'y malaking tulong na nagawa niyo po sa amin. Imagine sa buong Pilipinas, ang Region 11 po ang inuna niyong binigyan ng ganitong pagkakataon na ito po ay talagang lubos-lubos ang aking pasasalamat sa 10 ng mga leader ng aming reyon. Ang aming nga pong regional director is talaga pong hindi po ang kanyang pasasalamat dahil kahit kailan, kahit ano po yung mga hinihingi namin tulong na andyan lagi ang Microsoft, no? Lahat. So, tuwan-tuwa po kami sa ginagawa ng Microsoft sa atin ng mga tulong. Kailangan po talaga namin itong mga suporta nyo na ito, lalong-lalo na sa sitwasyon natin ngayon. Nandito po tayo sa pandemic ng COVID-19 at alam niyo naman po kung gaano po kahirap gumawa ng regular na pagtuturo na ginagawa ng ating mga guro. Kaya ito po mga pamamaraan na ito po ay mga paghahanda po lamang, mga unang paghahanda ng ating riyon at ang ating central office ay meron din pong mga ginagawa para po sa ating kaguruan. Pero itong mga pangyayaring pagsasanay nito ay inisyatibo po ng ating riyon, no? Para po hindi lamang po tayo umaasa sa national but ang inyong regional office ay talaga pong 24 oras na talaga pong gumagawa at nag-iisip ng mga iba't ibang mga pamamaraan ng pagtuturo, tinatawag nating blended remote learning educational delivery models para sa ating mga guro. Kasi po kayong mga guro, ang aming mga frontliner, yung nga po ang sabi ni Assistant Director kanina, kami naman pong mga IT kami naman po ang backliner. So kung mayroong frontliner, mayroong pong backliner, nandoon po kami lagi sa likod nyo. At kami pong aking kasamahan sa aking opisina sa ICTU ay lagi pong maghahanap, mangangalap ng mga tulong at mga ganitong mga pagsasanay para mabigyan po kayo ng mga kakayanan, mga skills para magampanan niyo po ng maayos ang inyong mga gagawin sa loob ng inyong mga silid-aralan. At ulit, ako po'y muling nagpapasalamat sa Microsoft. Sana sa uulitin po ulit na kayo po ulit ang magbibigay po ng ganitong mga pagsasanay sa aming kaguruan. Hindi po ito ang uli at una. Ito po ay una po lamang at alam ko ang Microsoft marami pa pong mga susunod na mga pagsasanay na gagawin po sa atin. Maraming pong salamat sa inyo at meron lamang po ako pakikiusap sa lahat ng mga umattend dito sa ating training na 2 araw. Meron po kaming ipo-post mamaya after nito, after ng pagsasalita ng isa pang speaker, ng closing, na isang pong assessment. Ito po ay ginawa namin, no, para po malaman namin at kung ano pa po ang dapat naming gawin para sa inyo, para sa ikagaganda po ng ating pagtuturo sa panahon ng pandemic, COVID pandemic. So maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat at magandang tanghali sa inyong lahat. Salamat po.
Thank you, Sir Rick Pinto. It's a pleasure and a great honor for us also to conduct this remote learning session for Region 11. Now we call on Ms. Grace Ko, Education Programs Manager for Microsoft Philippines, for the closing remarks. Hello, Ma'am Grace.
Hi. Hello, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you.
Hi, hello. Maayong buntag sa inyuhang tanan. Region 11. Game na? Game na ako?
Yes, ma'am. You can.
Alright. So maayong buntag sa inyuhang tanan there in Region 11. Live na live po ako nag-uulat dito sa Quezon City. Happy Independence Day po sa inyong lahat. In behalf of our team in Microsoft, no, maraming salamat po ulit sa lahat ng nag-organize nitong event na ito. Una sa lahat ang ating partners, of course, sa Region 11. Thank you so much for continuously pioneering these efforts, no, in DepEd. And of course, pinapangunahan po yan ng ating regional director na si RD Evelyn, ng ating ARD na si Maria Ines Asuncion, ang ating RITO na si Sir Rick, na hindi po nagsasawang talagang sikapin, no, para maibigay po sa inyo itong mga innovation sa region. Of course, we'd also like to thank our training partner with us in this program, si Line Learning and Development Solutions. Pinapangunahan po yan ng ating senior trainer ngayon na si Jeff Facundo, at syempre nandito din sina Yufer at sina Kla. So maraming salamat sa inyo. And of course, sa lahat po ng teachers na dumalo sa araw na ito, despite the holiday and you're here, thank you so much for your time and dedication, because I think the fact na nandito po kayo ngayon sa training natin at nanonood po kayo ng live, that actually says a lot about your willingness to learn and actually absorb all these new learnings about this new way of teaching and learning. And talagang kami po sa Microsoft, humahanga po kami sa dedication nyo as teachers na talagang kahit nasa ganitong normal tayo, sinisikap talaga nating maka-keep up, 'di ba, sa new trends natin ngayon. So, in behalf again of our team, again, I hope that this training that we have given you would actually inspire you to reach out and also help your fellow teachers. So I think kasi ngayon nasa mga 4,000 viewers tayo, no? And Region 11 I think has around 30,000 teachers. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sir Rick. So talagang marami pa tayong pwedeng ipag-sharean ng ating mga natutunan. And gaya nga po ng sabi ni Sir Rick earlier, this is a pilot program. And once again, Region 11 is the recipient of the pilot program, just like the virtual graduation.
Yay!
Yay! 'Di ba? And ngayon as we are preparing to transition nga sa ating new way of teaching and learning, it's nice no kasi at least as early as now, alam niyo na tong bago nating concepts like remote learning. So, marami pa po kaming inaayos na programa both with the region and of course the national strand of DepEd. And abangan niyo po dahil upcoming na rin ang ating inset sa DepEd, 'di ba? And ang kinaganda po nito is at least kayo po sa Region 11 as early as now, nauna po kayong nakatanggap ng ganitong training. So I hope that you also take into heart this advantage and as early as now also share the learnings to your fellow teachers dahil it's the only way talaga for all of us to be able to rise up to this challenge and adjust to this new normal. So yun lang, ayoko na pong patagalin. Again, maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat and Happy Independence Day.
Thank you, Miss Grace. Yeah, so aside that we are healing as one because of this pandemic, we also want to learn as one. So sabi nga nila, Rise Pilipinas. So we are transforming education through the help of Microsoft Philippines. So we will now be showing some survey links. So as like what Sir Rick mentioned earlier, we need the help of our participants to answer our survey links. So we have at least I think 4 survey links that we will be asking our participants to answer. So we will be giving you guys at least 5 minutes to answer those surveys. So this is the first survey. This is the learning assessment and evaluation quiz. So you can screen the QR code or you can also type in the link. It's below the QR code. Okay, so again, we will be giving our participants at least 3 to 5 minutes, well, actually 5 minutes to answer the survey. Okay, now, so we move now to the end of program online monitoring and evaluation tool day 1 survey. So this is the QR code. Below it is also the link that you can type on your browser. Just a reminder, please answer the day 1 and day 2 survey in order for you to get your certificates. Again, kindly answer day 1 survey and the day 2 survey in order for you to get your certificate. So we'll be giving 5 minutes again for you guys to answer the survey. Okay, now we are showing the day 2 survey. This is the end of program online monitoring and evaluation tool survey. So another a reminder, kindly complete day 1 and day 2 in order for you to get your certificate. Okay, so now we are sharing in your screen on how you can claim your certificate at Microsoft Educator Center. Just use this achievement code and also please answer the evaluation for our trainer. Scan this QR code or type in the link to your browser. Thank you. So thank you everyone for answering our survey. So that wraps up our session. We would like to thank our participants from Region 11. We appreciate your time in attending this session. We hope you learned something new today from your partners from Microsoft and Line Learning and Development Solutions. Thank you. If you want to know more about Microsoft Teams, remote learning, and the like, please get in touch with us. Email Line Learning and Development Solutions at learn@line-lnd.com for inquiries. Please do like our Facebook page as well at facebook.com/line.lnd. Details are posted in your screen. So as a reminder, this recorded session will be available through RITO. This concludes today's event. Thank you for attending. We hope to see you in our future sessions. Stay safe and stay home, everyone. Thank you, Region 11.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Line Learning and Development Solution. Thank you very much, Microsoft. Thank you very much, teachers from Region 11. Bye.